sexual addiction and may have frequented some of these places in the past.
He's saying, when you talk about substance, he said he had sexual addiction, but I'm sure that was racially motivated. Was this racially motivated?
The indicators right now are it may not be. It may be targets of opportunity. Again, we believe that he frequented these places.
But the working theory is a sexual addiction issue rather than a racial profile.
During our interviews, we asked that specific question, and that did not appear to be the motive.
Okay, folks. I wanted to play that because
a lot of people have been talking about this situation that took place in Atlanta, the massacre at this massage parlor / I guess brothel. And for some reason, the people on the left, and when I say the left, the Democrats and the media, are trying to frame this up as being a hate crime, a crime against Asian Americans, and, crime against women, but definitely a hate crime. You have the police in Atlanta saying that according to the guy, he shot these women. I think 6 were Asian and then 2 were white because of sex. He was addicted to sex. And he was trying to, I guess, remove that addiction from him by shooting them. Now, I'm not in this guy's mind. I don't know his heart. But that's what he said. And we always want to know, keep them alive so we can find out why they did this. So he told us, but for some strange reason, the media wants to shape this up as being a hate crime against Asians. And not only that, a hate crime against Asians by a white man, the boogeyman. The white man that we've been attacking for the past, 6 years or so, but definitely more so than the past 2 years. The white man, the bad white man. When you look at the numbers will bear out something different. The numbers will show that these crimes are being committed, unfortunately, by blacks. Just the other day, today in New York, a black man attacked an Asian person. Now, yes, in California, there was a white man that attacked an Asian. But overall, when you look at the numbers, and because a lot of Asians have establishments in the black community, blacks are usually the perpetrator. But we can't speak the truth. Not in this woke supremacy that we live in. We have to spin and narrate. So I opened the show up with that, so that we're all aware and see what's happening. This has to stop. We're better than that. Crime at any level is bad, but we have to recognize that crime as a whole is on an uptick. Why? Because of the lawlessness that we have around us. Laws that are being bent, laws that are being changed, like the laws in California under the new Attorney General. It's sad. It has to stop. Thank you for joining us tonight. Rob and Andrew, After Dark. Andrew, how's it going?
It's going well, Rob. This attack was really sad, but the media is not talking about how it was against sex workers. I think they're throwing that under the rug. It has nothing to do with us, yet they want to blame it on white men and conservatives somehow, even though there's no connection whatsoever that we know of as of yet.
None whatsoever, but there is a war on white men. Joining us tonight is our resident poet, Ray. How's it going?
Very good. Glad to be here. Rob, Andrew, other guests.
And our resident journalist, Heather Robinson. How is it going, Heather?
Great, Rob. Great to be here. Thank you.
And we have a special guest tonight, Eric Matheny, attorney. He's a social media commentator, a podcaster, and the host of the show, Bob and Eric Save America. We need someone to save America right now. Eric, how's it going?
Hey guys, how you doing? How's everybody doing tonight?
It's doing well.
Very well.
So tell me, what did you guys think of my opening?
Powerful, Rob.
Well, I thought you're spot on there, Rob. I really think that obviously we're seeing an uptick in crime, namely due to the fact that you have these liberal DAs and you have these liberal governors that are defunding, that are endorsing defunding police, and are effectively putting their boots on the heels of those, boots on the neck of those who are prosecuting who get arrested. One of the reasons why George Soros is so into DA elections is the fact that the DA, and I'm a criminal attorney, the DA has the most power in the criminal justice system. So it's there. We're also generally just across the board decay of culture. And with the media that's trying to fan the flames and trying to turn everything into a racial issue, I think it's a recipe for disaster. I think you were spot on. I think we're seeing an uptick in crime. And I think it's generally just quality of life. I think it has nothing to do with racism. I don't think we're any more or less racist than this country was 10, 15, 20 years ago. I think you're just seeing an uptick in crime. And in part, defunding.
Right. And we see that uptick in crime, as you so eloquently put, because of the lawlessness from the left. They want to defund the police. They want to get rid of the police. They want to blame the police for all the ills in society. And when you take a step back and look at it, where is this taking place? In blue states. Blue states is where the lawlessness is. But trying to get them to see it, oh, you can forget about it. Heather, you were about to say, go ahead.
Oh, just that. Yeah. Thanks for having me, Rob. Well, it reminds me a little of the atmosphere in the aftermath of the Tree of Life shooting. I'm from Pittsburgh and I'm Jewish. And that was a horrible, also massacre that happened a couple years back, as you may recall. And there was, I think in the aftermath, the horror, there was this impulse to blame and to try to understand, which is human, but a lot of people were raging against President Trump and his supporters. It happened that the maniac who did that was not a Trump supporter. He had actually ranted against President Trump online. But there was not a rational kind of unearthing of the facts around it. And there was this whole, what I view as an exaggerated idea. I know there are white supremacist groups. I know that they're real and they are a threat. However, I think a lot of leftists can't, and activism these days revolves around the idea that there are massive numbers of white supremacists, that there are significant numbers of them among Trump supporters. I think that's overstated. Look at us here. Some of you guys were kicked off of Twitter. I mean, you're Black, I'm Jewish. I don't think anybody here is remotely sympathetic to any kind of white supremacy. I think that there's there's a fiction really that, whenever something horrible happens and a lone wolf does something, the impulse is to try to link it to this whole idea of enormous numbers of white supremacists and neo-Nazis running around in the country. And again, I'm not dismissing the existence of these groups, but I think their numbers are much smaller than the left would have us believe. And I think that, sometimes there's this rush to link these horrors to this some kind of massive movement, which I don't think it is a massive movement in this country. So
Right. Andrew, you were about to say?
No, I just absolutely agree with you, too, that white supremacy is not the issue that the left likes to make it out to believe. They're definitely underplaying that this could just be that this guy is just some deranged sex addict who is frustrated with these ladies. And they're not talking about that. They constantly want to try and go to the racism narrative because it sounds better, and I guess it does better ratings and more clicks.
Well, not only that, it's a power keg. If you go out with racism, you talk about it, you'll get people to stop. You can raise money. You can further your career. Look at Al Sharpton. He's on TV. A person who, in my opinion, my humble opinion, should be up under a jail. But now he's on TV pontificating. And you have a lot of others that are on TV pontificating. It's beyond my realm of thinking how these guys are able to repackage these individuals who have done nothing but been race baiters their entire lives. They're now on TV. Eric, as a criminal attorney, what are you seeing in the numbers when you see the crime that's taken place? Is it white men? Is it black men? Or is it like, are the numbers the same? Is it equal? Because there's definitely a push now to take down white men.
Well, I agree with that sentiment. There is a push to take down white men. Where I am, where I practice in South Florida, it really depends on the demographics of your area. Where I live and where I practice is predominantly Hispanic. So arguably 70% of the crimes are allegedly committed by Hispanic. If I were up in the Panhandle, it would probably be more people who look like I do. I think crime is crime. I think crime is a byproduct of economics far more than it is race. So to say that white people or black people, whoever is disproportionately committing crime, it has to do with your economic factors and your economic situation in life. If you're in an impoverished area, there's going to be more crime. There's going to be more police activity. There's going to be more interactions between the community and the police. So it's really an economic issue. However, what you stated about Al Sharpton and Jesse James, guys like and race baiters, there's a whole industry behind it. There's currency, there's social currency, there's political currency. If I were a blue check liberal, I could wake up tomorrow morning, I could tweet all white men are terrible, and I could probably get 25,000 retweets in an hour. I could get my head dopamine doing it. So the bottom line is that there's an industry behind it. There's a lot of capital. There's a lot of momentum in that. But realistically, none of it is helping us. We're going to have crime. We've always had crime. If you want to address crime, it's not racial factors, it's economic factors. If there's more opportunity in a neighborhood, irrespective of the makeup of the neighborhood, you're going to have less crime. If you have a job to go to after school, you're not going to go hang out with the wrong guys and sell drugs. I don't care what color you are.
Right. And that's something that the media does not want to address. They would rather go into the lowest of the lows and bring up race. Similarly, the Democrats, they want to bring up race because, as I said, race gets attention. It's big bucks. And we have got to move beyond the race. Like you said, Heather, the Tree of Life, what took place there. They were saying that, hey, this guy, he hated Jews and he was a Trump follower. And that wasn't the truth.
He wasn't a Trump supporter. And he was a maladjusted nut. And I think if you wanted to make some kind of impressionistic argument that the tensions in the country could contribute to a maladjusted lone wolf snapping, maybe, but I don't really understand why Trump supporters are more responsible for the tensions in the country than the other side, which was also ranting and furious and name calling for years. In terms of blame, for the actions of a lone wolf crazy person who. Anyway, but yes, I think that there's a lot of, again, I don't want to sound like I'm dismissing the real existence of white supremacist groups. I know they're out there. The FBI is aware of them, but I don't personally perceive the actions of every lone wolf to be directly connected to that. And I think that there's an tendency to overstate that and to spin it, as if that's who these lone wolves are when they're not always necessarily.
Right. Well, go back to when Trump was, or was it, I think it was 2015, when Steve Scalise was shot. Mm. Did we blame the Democrats?
And that was more directly political. It was. Right. The guy went looking for Republicans.
Exactly. Did we blame the Democrats? Did they blame the Bernie bros? The guy was a supporter of Bernie Sanders. But for some reason, we didn't blame him. We didn't blame them. But we have to blame. Trump has been out of office. It's Trump supporters. They're these white supremacists, and they're out there. They're boogeymen, and they're going to get you. When we lived through, again, I hate to bring it up, but I've got to, the spring and summer of 2020, the violence, the insurrections around us, the burning down of state and federal buildings, the burning down of businesses, Black businesses, the burning down of communities. And people looked the other way. if we want to say that there is racism and that people are getting angry, what we're creating right now in society by attacking white men and saying that they're bad and they're evil. Kids are watching this. Kids are looking. And if you're going out every day and you're hearing this and you're coming home and you're seeing your dad, your uncle, your brother being beaten down for no fault of his, don't you think this is creating resentment? And if the Democrats want a culture, a race war, well, look, you're creating one right now because that's what's going to happen. And it's not going to be pretty at all. You think you're getting off by blaming the white man. The white man did this. The white man is bad. The white man, he's taking over. The white man, that's all you hear. Now, it's just not the white man, but the white man. Black men as a whole, they don't like. I mean, you look at what they're doing with, the sports. How they're allowing men, they want watered down men to participate in women's sports. This has to stop. Toxic masculinity. This has got to stop. And I talk about this every night, that we're definitely marching too far. And at some point, it's going to become a tinderbox that is going to explode. Is this what the Democrats want? I would say yes, because they're not backing down. And this latest incident of this guy shooting up these women in this massage parlor, and they're so quick to run out and say, it was a white man, it was about racism, it was about this, as opposed to just taking him at his word that no, it was a sex addiction. And then they want to say that the police chief is a racist. I think it was an online publication, The Grio. He's a racist. Why? Because he's not going to buy into that narrative. And then you have a lot of others that are saying the exact same thing. Here in New York, some of the schools, oh, we should reach out to our Asian community and let them know we stand with them. Stand with them where? They haven't even completed the investigation. So why are we scaring these people into thinking that the boogeyman is after them? The same thing they're doing to blacks. The police are after you, and it is a white police because of systemic racism. And when you look at the facts, when you look at it, and you look and see who's being killed and who did what, only to find out that a lot of these black men were in the wrong. Or that there were more white men that were killed by the police. But we don't talk about that. We don't advertise that. It's always the black man, the victim, the person who's being oppressed. I refuse to be oppressed. Yes, there is racism in this country. There will always be racism. There will always be prejudices. But at the level that the media is pushing it, I don't think so. What do you say?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's similar to like the idea of the white supremacy. I'm not saying there isn't some. I'm not saying there aren't some groups, who need to be watched. But the media would have us believe that half the country are white supremacists, and everybody who supported Trump, or most of us, are. I'm laughing because it's laughable. But I mean, it seems like that's the narrative that was pushed for a lot of these years, that this country is just, comprised of, half the country is just racist and anti-Semitic and hates women. And, it's like they're scaring themselves.
Right, and they're scaring other people. I mean, do they really want to just shut us down? Eric, what do you say? Well, what do you guys how do you approach this on your show?
Well, let me bring something up. I'm seeing it in your chat. Can we talk about pornography? Can we talk about sex addiction? Can we talk about the readily available filth that's out on the internet? I'm not even talking about the dark web stuff. I'm talking about something that you can go to in 0.5 seconds and have access to the most depraved pornography you could possibly imagine. And you have these young kids who are being told time and time masculinity is toxic. Sexual urges and feelings they have are criminal and bad. And if you talk to a woman, it's akin to sexual assault. So they go online and they see pornography, and it totally distorts their vision of what a relationship should be. They have no ability to communicate. They're sitting on their phones all day going like this. They don't interact with people. They don't go meet girls and shake their hands, go, hi, I'm so-and-so, nice to meet you. It's Tinder, it's Snapchat, it's all online. There's no social interaction. It's a complete sociopathic environment we've created, and then they have this distorted view and watch a pornography and go, well, why isn't my life like that? And they become sexually addicted. They become addicted to pornography, and they go out and they commit these horrible crimes because they don't know how to channel these feelings, because society is coming at them from every which angle. And great, society is also telling them that these perversions are terrible. These urges that they have, their masculinity, and they have to learn healthy sexuality. They have to learn healthy relationships, and they don't know how to do that. That's what this is all about. This has nothing to do with this.
So well said. So,
that's a good point. I mean, not only that, when you talk about porn, just remember on Sunday, Cardi B and Megan Thee Stallion.
Yep.
Gallivanting on the stage on a huge bed, assimilating sex, humping and grinding. And we were told, oh man, that was so artistic, that was beautiful.
Stunning and brave.
But Dr. Seuss is bad. Those books are bad. We've got to get rid of Angie Mama. We've got to get rid of all the cartoons. Mr. Potato Head, Uncle Ben. That's bad. It hurts my feelings. But Cardi B and Megan Thee Stallion, or whatever she calls herself, can get on TV and assimilate sex acts. And then we say, oh, bravo. And then we tell young boys, oh, don't look at that. Don't say anything. Don't say that it looks good. Because if you do, you're toxic. This is what's happening in our society. Go ahead, Heather.
Yeah, I've just had this sense throughout, and I don't want to oversimplify, because I'm with you that there are many factors and forces at play in such a profound, maladapted thing as somebody who's this maladjusted. But I've been uneasy from the start of the Me Too stuff. I know that there's certainly feminists are right about certain things, in my opinion. No means no. It's very important for boys to learn that. But I have shared with you the sense that this kind of extreme scapegoating of certain men, public humiliation as a means of punishment and deterrence, is not a good thing. I don't think that, yes, this stuff with toxic masculinity, this idea that, when you have powerful urges and, I think that it's very important to message things to boys who are growing up, and they understand the limits and boundaries. But when you start going beyond, basic, clear communication that violence is always wrong, and not understanding no is wrong, and you start to demonize all kinds of things, and you start to humiliate men in the media who fall short of the ideal, and you engage in a lot of negativity, overgeneralizing about men. I think it's a form of abuse in and of itself. I think it becomes a matter of, like with any of this stuff, it starts out with good intent. You have a group that feels vulnerable. Rob and I were talking a few weeks ago about this. As a woman, you are the physically more vulnerable one. Usually it is a difficult thing sometimes, but that doesn't mean, I think you can't just flip the script and turn into the vigilante who's out to humiliate people and overgeneralize and demonize, this identity politics thing, whether it's between races, between genders, it becomes unhealthy when it turns into something that's overgeneralizing, that's horribly negative. And yeah, I wondered, is this going to have some bad repercussions for women in terms of actual real violence? I'm not talking about, somebody saying something obnoxious at work. I'm talking about people who, are going to be maybe pushed over the edge by all of this barrage of kind of negativity about men. I don't think it's a good idea.
Why do you think that we're attacking men? Why is it that now in this society where you have China that are saying that they need to make their men tougher, here in America, we're trying to make men soft? We don't want men playing football. It's too harsh of a sport. How long has football been around? We don't like wrestling. We don't like boxing. We want men who are walking around carrying a flower. I don't get it. We want to find out if there is an athlete who's a homosexual, and then we want him to come out and say it. What is it all about? I just don't get it. I mean, it's scary that we're attacking men. Look at our boys. Look at the number of boys that are on the college campus now, college campuses. I mean, boys are dropping out of school because of all the negativity that we're hearing. Men are bad. Boys are bad. You're bad. Go away. Go away. This has to stop. And then they're pushing this idea, well, we don't need a man to have a baby. We can do this and we can do. When does it stop? And when you have politicians who are buying into this nonsense, when you have politicians that are walking around with pink caps on saying, oh, I'm a part of this, and it is disgusting. Let a man be a man and a woman be a woman. There are two genders, male and female. Everything in between is made up. Now, do not get me wrong. Do not start sending me your hate emails, okay? I love my brethren who claim that they're gay, lesbians, trans, but I do believe that this push to change the vocabulary, well, we can't say mom and dad, we can't say he or she. This has got to stop because, like I said, China is laughing at us because we're making ourselves look like fools with some type of social experiment. And that's what it is, a social experiment that has gone crazy. We've got to stop it.
It's totally distorted. I say all the time, I've got so many strikes against me. It's like 4 strikes, you're out. I'm white, I'm a man, I'm a conservative, and I'm a Jew. I mean, I'm cooked. We've allowed this thing to get so distorted. And all this blame that's going on without any investigation. It's been going on for several years. Kavanaugh, and it just goes on and on, the Me Too, even gun control. It all stems from blaming, I don't know. I think about Orlando. I think about Pittsburgh. I think about Las Vegas. I've written poems about all of those. I have a poem I could read in 2 seconds about Pittsburgh, or even when Scalise got shot. It's been happening before our eyes, and we're not dealing with it, and our politicians forget. They're not helping.
Are they forgetting? Or they just don't want to do anything? I look at the GOP.
They don't want to do it.
Right.
All they want to do is win their election the next time around. It has nothing to do with morality and what's right. We have gotten to the point where it just keep your position at any cost, and look where we are. I mean, the world is like, it appears to be falling apart in front of our eyes.
It is.
Immigration, taxes are going, everything that we've been talking about for the last 4 years, we fought so hard, right, Eric? We fought so hard on these core issues, and look, we're just right back in the same spot. It's terrible.
Eric, your thoughts?
Regarding the GOP and what they're doing, enough time here and Ray there. What was the question?
No, we just asked for your commentary on what Ray had said regarding the GOP and everything that's happening.
Well, let me expound on that a little bit. I'm having a hard here in Ray, but I want to go back to something that you had said earlier regarding Steve Scalise and the shooting of Steve Scalise, and this all ties into the weak GOP. You said that we didn't blame Bernie, and we didn't blame Democrats. We should have. We should have launched an all-out offensive. We should have pointed the finger and said, absolutely 110% your fault, because guess what? On January 6th, they did it to us. They did it to us. They took that as their personal 9/11, and they're going to run with that ball as far as they can for as long as they can. And we, feckless weak E, did what they always do. They run to the camera and go, it's not your fault. We're sorry. Same thing, and not even on the same scale. Ted Cruz got caught in Cancun, and he goes on CNN. He goes on TV to apologize for it. Owned it. He should have said, you know what? Go check out Andrew Cuomo. He killed 15,000 people alone. Carlos and Charlie's is great. I had a margarita and walked down the concourse. We got to be tough, guys. This is war. This is scorched earth. No more Mr. Nice Guy. The party of yesteryear is dead. If this party is going to continue, if we're ever going to have a chance at the White House again, no. When stuff like Steve Scalise happens, that was the Fort Sumter moment. And we should have pointed the finger and we should have taken it and we should have taken them head on right there. And we missed an opportunity. I hate to say that, but that's the political world we live in. Opportunity.
Yep, we missed an opportunity because you look at what they're doing now. They are showing the GOP, hey, we've got the votes. We're in here and we are going to steamroll over you. We might blow up the filibuster. We don't care. We're going to give money to whomever. We're going to let all these illegal aliens come in. We don't give a damn. And that's what they're saying. They want to get rid of, Justice Breyer. They want to kick him off. They are playing the game to win. They're playing it to win.
And they win. And Rob, they win. They win.
And they win.
They didn't win.
Yeah, I sit back and I look at this. I'm like, can you believe it? Well, Joe Biden, well, I'm not going to do this and I'm not going to do that. He is saying, I don't care. We're in office. We're going to do whatever the hell we want to do. And all those people who are counting on Joe Manchin, well, don't be surprised if Joe Manchin comes in and says, hey, I acquiesce, I give in. They are playing the end game.
We're in a big predicament.
Absolutely.
We lost the Senate, the House, and the presidency. And we're like at the bottom of a hole, trying to fight uphill. Anybody, I mean, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure out that you can't win fighting uphill. We need some leaders to go to the top and fight. We don't have any. I was hoping that Joe Manchin would, be stronger, but he's going to cave like they all cave.
Because they're attacking him. They're on top of him. And I hate to say it, I wouldn't be surprised to wake up and he says, hey, I give up. I mean, a lot of people don't like Marjorie Taylor Greene. Okay, fine, I get it. But she's a fighter. She's showing you how to fight. You got to get out there and you got to get down and dirty with them. And you got to say, hey, I'm not going to give up. I don't have any confidence whatsoever in Kevin McCarthy. None whatsoever. If he could not stand up to Liz Cheney and put her in her place and kick her the hell out, I have no confidence in him whatsoever. Do not contact me. Stop sending me emails. I am not about to open up my wallet to give you a dime. None whatsoever. Because I've had it. I sit back and I look at this. I'm like, we're in trouble. Yes, it's only 4 years, but the amount of damage that these knuckleheads are going to create, they're going to do, I'm telling you. And then on China on top of that, as you said, Eric, this is the scorch of the earth. This is it. And we had a chance to be great. Mitt Romney, Ben Sass, shame on you. Get out. Just step aside for Pete's sake. Because this is it. Within these first 50 days that this man has been in office, he's showing us what he is going to do. He's yet to give a press conference. He's going to give one next week. And what did he say? Submit your questions.
Submit. It's going to be a joke.
Absurd. This is absurd. This is absurd. And I am passionate about this because I see what's happening. I see the blame. I see the racistness and I'm telling you, this does not look good at all.
No.
It does not look good at all. I mean, I don't know how the heck we got here. Critical race theory. What the heck is critical race theory? Okay. Try to be less white. Try to be less black. Oh, don't say that. That's racist. And then California ethnic studies, having the military to take these sensitivity courses. And then we want more gay men in the military. Are you freaking serious? The military is not a social experiment. It's about fighting wars. It's about keeping the country safe. What don't you folks get? Republicans, GOP, what are you doing?
They want to soften. They want to soften it.
I'm just.
I don't know what to do. I mean, sometimes I just. I need to take a break, from it. Now, 2022 isn't that far away.
But the amount of damage that they will create between now, and that's what they're doing, because they know that they might lose. The
They
amount
might
of
lose.
damage that they're going to inflict upon this great country. because
I
they
mean-
don't like the country. They hate the country. They hate the Constitution. They hate the American flag. It is like kryptonite to them.
And we can't rely on the Supreme Court. I mean, I always
Absolutely
had this thing in the back of my mind that at least the Supreme Court would be there behind all of this nonsense, but I haven't seen it yet. I haven't seen it yet in my adult lifetime.
And
I thought we were on the right track with Gorsuch, Kavanaugh, and Coney Barrett.
You would think that Kavanaugh would say, look at what they're doing. Look at how they're treating Cuomo. And look at how they treated me. I need to wake the hell up and I need to start thinking, these are the things we got to do. John Roberts is useless. Okay. He's another useless person. I wish he would just step down also. He's useless. Okay. But Gorsuch, Barrett, Kavanaugh, do you know, have you forgotten yourself? I mean, what exactly is happening? Why are people so afraid to push back? Where is the fight? This is a problem with conservatives. We don't push back. As you said, Eric, we've got to fight. This is a war.
Well, I think that they've disabled
We're
a
not
lot
as
of
vicious as
people.
the Democrats. People are afraid
And
of
we're-
losing their jobs. People are afraid of
People are-
losing their status in society. Cancel culture is a real thing. And it's
Yeah.
not just getting your Twitter account axed. It's about your business being destroyed. It's about your livelihood being ruined. It's about your family being threatened. Conservatives don't fight back because the liberals are absolutely vicious. They also have the media in their Hollywood in their pockets. They have big tech pockets. It is a multifaceted monster on that side. And as far as Kavanaugh, I regret putting myself out there and fighting for him. We should have just fed him to the Me Too crowd. Honest to God, he's been worthless. Gorsuch, Amy Coney Barrett. And honestly, I think one of the mistakes we always make time and time again is we put our faith in institutions and pin our hopes to arbitrary dates. We're not waiting for 2022 or 2024. Guys, this is 56 days, 57 days. Do you think you're going to have a country in 2 years? What makes you think the Democrats aren't going to cheat again? We need to be doing this now. We need to be doing this now. We're already past due. We should have been doing this for the last year.
Wow, that's right. We're putting our faith in these individuals that have just let us down time after time after time again, and they're showing us who they are. And like you said, we should have just fed Kavanaugh to the wolves, let them eat him up, and then put someone else there. Because I'm telling you, these people are worthless. They have not shown us anything or done anything but just cower. Yes, I know you have a family, okay, but for Pete's sake, think about the country. It's just... Heather, you were about to say, go ahead, because I could just go on. I'm so disappointed with the GOP, so disappointed in Kevin McCarthy, so disappointed in the mistakes that these guys have made, mistakes that they could have avoided, so disappointed that no one is standing out saying, hey, we need to remove Eric Swalwell. We need to do everything we possibly can. Why is he there? Okay, maybe you don't win, but you need to get out there and show me a voter, show me a donor that you're fighting. He shouldn't be where he is. You should be keeping up holy hell. But yet and still, you want to play nice because you want to be perceived as being, oh, we're proper and we're prim. Proper and prim never wins, okay? Heather, go ahead.
Well, on a lower brow note, as you guys were speaking, and Eric, you were talking about the fear. I was thinking about on the pop culture side, The Bachelor. Rob knows I'm a fan of the show, and this week we saw essentially the beginning of love sacrificed on the altar of political correctness, I guess. And it was an example, of what you're talking about, of what people stand to lose. We watched this whole season of these two young people, and I'm not saying it was the greatest love that ever existed on earth, but clearly they were very attracted to each other. This man who's the bachelor, and the girl's name was Rachel, and the fella's name is Matt James. Anyway, they had a aftermath discussion in which this young woman who has been branded a racist because of a high school classmate, as far as I can tell, put together like a pastiche of images of her from social media. created this kind of propaganda reel that she's a racist. And actually, if you watch it, a lot of the so-called evidence is really just examples of her family's political conservatism. This is being cited as evidence that this young woman is a vicious racist, or at least a racist, and that she attended an antebellum party, which I'm not going to weigh in with an opinion about that because I realize that's offensive to a lot of people. However, this is a young woman who pursued a love relationship with a biracial man on national television whose father is a dark-skinned Hispanic man. Watching this, I don't know if you guys happened to see it. She sat there and apologized, cried, begged for forgiveness, expressed her love for this man, Matt James. He looked miserable. He looked like the victim of the Stockholm Syndrome to me. I mean, I'm not in his head, but he seemed crazy about this girl, at least, in terms of the limerence early stage kind of love, thing. I don't know if he really sees it the way these people do, or he's just been broken down by the cancel culture mob. But these two young people who a few weeks ago were passionately kissing and holding each other and all excited were sitting there with tears streaming down their faces. Why? Because they can't be together because she wore the dress and her family gave money to Trump. And my point is just that, to me, this was just a Maoist crazy spectacle. Like, we're supposed to believe that he went from seeing her as a desirable woman, whatever, to not even being able to look at her or accept her apology as she sat there and cried. My point is just people are so scared, I guess, to be labeled racist, connected with anyone who anyone labels a racist. There's no forgiveness, no logic being brought to bear that I can see. And the ordinary person is just, I guess, afraid to just exercise even common sense. Anyway, sorry to go on, but.
Well, no, that's a good point. And I'll say this, and then we'll tee it up as Ray gets ready to read one of his great poems. As far as The Bachelor, as we have been covering this on the show, and the only reason why we're covering it, just on the cultural side, and my whole position on it was a bunch of farce. It was just a big joke. This whole thing with the antebellum party, and I covered this on Tuesday night. People saying, "Oh, it's racist. Oh, she had on the big dress." And I presented evidence that it was a big joke by showing an article that appeared in NPR in 2017 when the first Black president, Barack Hussein Obama, the 44th president of the United States, invited the Azalea Maids from Alabama to perform at his inauguration, to march in his inauguration parade. Included in it were not only whites wearing those big dresses, but they were blacks. And my question was, did the blacks not get the memo that the woke supremacy cloud is now saying that antebellum is racism? There was a group called the Lady Antebellum. They quickly changed their name, trying to agree with the woke supremacies, saying that, oh, it's racist. No, it's not. It's only racist because these people want to label it as racist. Again, we have to push back. We can't be afraid. Think about Sharon Osbourne when she pushed back to Cheryl Underwood. And she said, educate me, tell me what is racist. And Cheryl Underwood could not answer her. What happens? The woke community comes out and says, oh, she attacked Cheryl Underwood. No, she did not. What happened was that Cheryl Underwood was put on blast. She was left open because she didn't know how to respond. She didn't think Sharon Osbourne would say, educate me, show me, tell me how I'm being a racist. As a Black man who at one point thought I was a liberal, but I really wasn't, I started looking at all this and I say that it is bull. It's a bunch of bull. And we have got to start pushing back. Yes, there are racists. Yes, there are prejudices. But to the degree and the level that we hear, it is wrong. What is racist is when you come up with a stimulus package and you tell Black farmers, we're going to forgive your debt at 120%, And you're going to tell white farmers, oh, we don't even know you exist. We're not going to even give you anything, when it is the white farmer who are producing a majority of the things that we're eating, the fruits and the vegetables and the cows and the chickens. They too are struggling, but you're not going to give to them. You're going to give to the black farmers, who make up a small portion of the farming community. And you tell me that that's not racism? You tell me that me as a black man, I'm supposed to say hooray, hooray, when I'm looking at this from a humanistic perspective and saying, wait a minute, this isn't fair to the other group. And anyone out there that's saying that, oh, this is fair and this is equity, you are the racist. You don't deserve to be in America. And Joe Biden, you did it. And Barack Obama, you're saying nothing about it. You guys are lower than low. There's no respect for me for you because you are creating a race war. Ray, are you ready?
I am. That was powerful, Rob. I mean, I just want to comment about a program that is called EIDL. It's a program that was supposed to help people that were affected, small business owners that were affected by the pandemic. And there was supposed to be a $10,000 grant. It was reduced to $1,000, and now people are trying to get it. But what they're doing is they're making it only available to people that live in low-income districts. So theoretically, you know, someone who needs the help, even though there might be in a moderately priced area, are being discriminated against. Anyway, I wrote this poem yesterday for St. Patrick's Day. And it's always one of my favorite holidays. I used to always go into New York. And anyway, I wrote it yesterday. It's called The Cancel Cultists. See, I think it's a cult. And that's where the word culture comes from, C-U-L-T. And here it is. They claim that they're enlightened, reveal some greater truths. They're pandering their snake oil to asleep, misguided youths. They're making moral judgments, placing blame on you and I. They've yet to earn a full day's pay, but demand large pieces of our pie. Destroy our childhood nursery rhymes, say they're racist to the core. Outright abuse of Dr. Seuss, green eggs and ham no more. It's a follow blindly culture, supported by the left. Adults, I'd say, who lost their way, stood by and watched this theft. History is not relevant because oppressors got to right. They're victims of a system of race, gender, and the like. Brainwashing is their motive. They repeat it every day. Although dissent is heaven sent, group thinks their only way. Each day you'll sip some poison, charlatans demanding that you do. Just like Jones, Koresh, and Manson, welcome to your cultish crew. Behold the cancel cultists. They will utter their refrain. But I've got a warp speed antidote, a dose of American culture in their vein.
Wow, that's powerful. And it is so true as to what we're going through right now, what we're living through, and it's most unfortunate. But that is very powerful. And I hope people heard that and listened to it and understand the meanings, because what we're seeing right now, this whole council this and council that, that's what we're living right now. Eric, let me ask you, things in Florida, your governor, DeSantis, he took a different approach than my governor here, Cuomo. What are your thoughts on how he handled the whole COVID situation by not shutting down and just keeping businesses the way they were?
Ron DeSantis is a clinic how governors should have approached the COVID pandemic. What you need to do is you need to, first of all, COVID is a real thing, and how it got here is subject to debate. It came from China. It's China's fault. 100% it's China's fault. That's not racism. That's absolute truth. Was it a bioweapon? Was it something that got out of a lab? It was created. I will die on that sword. I'm convinced. The bottom line is it's here. So when Trump, one of the big things that all the anti-Trumpers like like to throw at me was, oh, Trump called it a hoax. He never called it a hoax. He called the Democrat exploiting it and politicizing it a hoax. And what Ron DeSantis did, he recognized the political opportunity, and he said, we're not going to have that here in Florida. Granted, we went through the lockdown like everybody else did for about 6 to 8 weeks, and we reopened. So when we see people out on the beach having a great time on spring break, we've been doing that all year long. I've been working. I'm having a great year. People we're not back in physical court just yet. We're doing it Zoom like the rest of the world. But man, Governor DeSantis really nailed it, and he really got it right. And I want to see him on 2024 either as VP or at the top of the ticket if Trump decides not to run.
Right. Do you think Trump should run, Eric?
No, I don't.
Mm-hmm. Why?
I think he's too old. And I've said it before, and it's kind of a mixed opinion. Trump is not the pillar upon which the MAGA community stands. He's the foundation upon which it is built.
Mm-hmm.
Rely on one man. He's going to be 78 years old. He's been through this. He has set the stage. I think it's time for some generational changes in leadership. Someone like Ron DeSantis, with Trump fully the torchbearer of the party and the movement. But I think that DeSantis, I think a DeSantis Noam ticket with fair elections. If you just say we're gonna put DeSantis and Noam on the ticket, everything's gonna be fine. We're kidding ourselves, and we're gonna lose. If we're not shoring up the elections right now, if we're not in the courts right now, making sure that constitutional safeguards cannot be circumvented because of a little flu from China, if we're dead. But I think Ron DeSantis is president, Kristi Noem vice president.
I like that. Like you said,
love the ticket. Great point.
And Andrew, I think you've even mentioned that ticket before, that would be an ideal ticket. And just what you just said, Eric, about Trump being too old. Yeah, it's the MAGA party. He built it. It's the foundation which it stands. But definitely, I could see the torch being passed on to someone else. And that ticket that you mentioned, DeSantis, Noem, I think would be an incredible ticket. And we need young blood there. And Trump is yet to say if he's going to, but I think that he would be able to rally the troops to get behind DeSantis. Now, of course, the Democrats are looking every way they can to destroy him. Looking for I wouldn't be at all surprised if they're not going to his garbage can at night and rummaging through it because they want to take him down. But something that you said that I think is really important, and I hope all of our listeners and viewers heard it, is that we've got to get in the courts right now because it's not going to be easy. Yes, the Democrats are just creating complete havoc, but they will steal this election again. Don't think that 2022 is going to be easy or 2024 because it's not going to be. So we need to get in the courts. And if you could just elaborate on that a little bit when you're saying get into the courts, what we need to be doing, which we didn't do last time. Could you do that for us, please? All right.
Be delighted. Now, I'm a criminal defense attorney, so don't look to me for election law, but I can tell you a little bit about what we should have done. First of all, I can tell you in the law, being reactive is a lot worse than being proactive. I'm a criminal attorney. If you get arrested and you call me tomorrow, I can help you. If you get convicted, you go to prison 2 years from prison and go, can you get me out? I probably can't. So better to be active than reactive. When we came after the election with all these lawsuits and Dominion and all these things, I knew it was too little too late. I like Sidney Powell. I like Ron. I knew that we were going to be able to do anything. Honest to God, I knew they weren't going to be able to do anything. What I think to be doing now is what we should have been doing a year ago, is we get into the courts and we file an injunction preemptively before something bad happens.
I'm sorry. Now?
I'm sorry, you're out there. What'd you say?
You were saying what we need to be doing now.
What we need to be doing now is... Oh, can you hear me okay?
Yeah, we can hear you better now.
Okay. What we need to be doing now is we need to be filing injunctions in the courts. We need to be judges that states have to honor their constitutions, that the legislature writes the laws for elections, that cannot be circumvented in the event of an emergency. The way the Democrats won the election was not necessarily with software algorithm glitches, even though we debate that all day. The way they won it was through unsubstantiated ballots due to mail-in voting, because people were receiving mail-in ballots or unsolicited. Normally you want an absentee you got to request an absentee. People were getting these mail-in voting ballots for their dogs, for the 6-year-old kid, filling them out. It was rife with fraud. Verification, no identification. Basically, your name on a piece of, or any name on a piece of paper was sufficient to pass. And they said under the guise of COVID in these trying and ended times. What's your crap? Because there's nowhere in the Constitution does it say void in the event of a virus. We need to be applying that logic to the states, and we need to have attorneys. GOP, all that money people give to the GOPs, well, they have lawyers on the GOP payroll. They need to be in the courts doing it right now, filing injunctions and telling judges this can never happen again.
I agree completely. You're about to say, Ray?
No, I'm just totally in agreement with Eric that it was too little too late. We all knew it, and we saw that to the extent that they didn't even want to investigate it because it was too late.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and I know you were a little PO'd at the courts for not.
Oh, I'm still PO'd.
You know, I know, and well, a lot PO, but.
Right.
You know, Clarence Thomas and Alito said, I don't know why we didn't look at it, but it was someone's got to just go after it. And
right. Well, one of the things is that it was a responsibility of the state legislatures. I mean, we're finding out now that I think it was a lady in Michigan who the malfeasance that she should not have done. She lied about it. Even in I think it was Georgia where we're finding out. The little piece of Washington Post came out and said that Trump said this and he didn't say it, only to find out that it was the Secretary of State and his assistant who created that lie. I mean, the party has election attorneys for a reason. I don't know what Ronna McDaniel is doing, but as I said to her, do not contact me, send me an email or text asking for money, okay? Because you're not going to get it. I'll give to the Trump PAC, but I'm not giving to you right now because I'm still PO'd. Because you couldn't stand up and do what you should have done. I mean, and another thing, voter ID. Now, mind you, as we said, the Democrats will try to cheat again, and they're going to try to do so with this new voter registration overhaul that they're trying to push. There's a possibility they will be successful. And if they are, in bringing in illegal aliens, God bless America. Because they are trying to destroy us. They don't want a Republican to ever get power. So right now, we need to start looking at this. Everyone should be required to have an ID to vote. That is not discrimination. That is not racism. That is common sense. If I have to have a ID for any public assistance, why can't you produce an ID when it's time to vote? It's a simple question. Why can't you produce an ID? Oh no, because black people. What do you mean black people can't get ID? That's racism to say that they can't get it. Are you saying they're too stupid? They're too dumb? Well, I guess Joe Biden would think that because he said they're not intelligent enough to use a computer to figure out where to go to get the vaccine. I mean, to me, that's a slap in the face. Oh, black people, they can't get ID. Yes, they can. They can get everything else. If they can get a freaking cell phone, an iPhone at that, or a Samsung, and get Michael Jordan sneakers, they can get an ID. I mean, this has got to stop handicapping people.
It's just an excuse.
Absolutely, it's an excuse, and it's a weak excuse.
But we don't have politicians that stand up and jump up and say no.
Republicans,
we have learned that we don't say no. I sent you guys an essay some time back called "The Power of No."
Mm-hmm.
No is very powerful, and we never say it.
We never say it. We just roll over.
We never say it. We say, well, maybe later. But, you know, you respect no. No tells you, whoa, maybe I should relook at what he just said, or she.
Mm-hmm.
But when you don't say no, you are really saying, do what you want.
You have to say no. You've got to say those two letters. N-O. No means no.
One day I'll read that on air. It would be a nice little essay to read.
I love that, Ray. I love that. The Power of No.
You've read The Power of No?
No, I just said I love it. And I think it's something that women could be empowered to.
Yes.
to say no.
Yes.
Yeah, this has got to happen. I mean, because it's not going to be an easy election in 2020. And anyone who thinks that it's going to be because the Democrats are messing up, they're messing up at the border, they're messing up all over. I mean, no, these guys know how to cheat, and they cheat well. They know how to lie, and they lie well. And they will do anything to stay in power. Look at Eric Swalwell. Why is he still there? Look at Adam Schiff. Why is he still there? All these guys lied about Russia collusion, and they're still there. And Republicans aren't keeping up a stink about it. I mean, again, you may not win, but at least show me that you're fighting. Show me that you're doing something. I don't want to see Eric Swalwell. Okay, I want him sweating. Look, he's not sweating. He's just like going around. I mean, look at Andrew Cuomo. He's going to ride this whole thing about sexual harassment. He's going to ride it out. He's hoping that they stay focused on that because he's an attorney and he's clever and he knows, hey, I can get around this. But the whole deal with the 14,000 nursing home deaths, hey, I don't want to touch that because I know I can't get away with that because I might end up in jail, and rightfully so. Republicans, wake the heck up. Wake up. Come on.
How did they get rid of Al Franken, if you don't mind, if anybody can enlighten me?
Well, I will. Well, I can tell you very easily. He was weak. And what's her name? Christine Gillibrand just rode him and said, hey, get out, get out, get out. And then he left. He was weak.
Because he tried to kiss somebody. And
when she was asleep, yeah.
She said, okay. And that's why he had to go.
Yeah, he was weak. And here's the other thing about it, is that once he stepped down, he came back and said, I should have never done it. I was a fool. Yeah, you were a fool, but hey, we got rid of that fool. But this one, Eric Cuomo, yeah, you can forget it. That guy is cocky, he's arrogant, and he's not leaving at all. Not at all. Now, Eric, you've got to leave us in about 15 minutes from now, or 10 minutes, and definitely want you to, jump in here and give us some more words of wisdom as to how you see what's happening, current events out there taking place today. What are your thoughts on anything? Go for it.
Well, I always say on my show, one of the things that we do on Bob and Eric Save America, and for those that tune in every Saturday at 2:30 p.m., we're also on Spotify, iTunes, and Google Podcasts, and thank you for giving me an opportunity to plug it. But what we always talk about is we're not necessarily a political show, we're a cultural show. And what we're seeing here in this country is politics is a byproduct. Politics is downhill from culture. We're witnessing a decaying culture from the inside out. And it's not something new. It's compounded one thing after the other. Now, you could say, well, social media, it's reality TV. It's a number of things. But one thing I think we need to look at right now, and I want to say this hard truth, and as a patriotic, God-fearing American, to say these words, but China is winning. China is eating our lunch. And why are they eating our lunch? One thing and one thing alone, and everything from that: cultural discipline. Cultural discipline. You were talking a lot about racism early in the show. Let's talk about some stereotypes that are true. The Chinese kid with a 4.6 GPA who gets a full ride to UCLA who becomes a doctor. That's a stereotype, and it's true because we all know Chinese families like that. They move here, they learn English proficiently in 6 weeks, they own a business, they're financially independent, the kids are disciplined, the likes of we have never seen. And in America, our children are not. Parents try to bulldoze obstacles. Hey, we don't want to see our children suffer. We think that that's a reflection upon our poor parenting. So we want things to be easy for them. We're obsessed with race. We are obsessed with race. You know who's not obsessed with race? China. What happens when you go to China? What do you see? You see Chinese people. That's their culture. They're a monolith culture. And look what they do to people who are not like them, which no one's talking about. The Uyghur Muslim, the ethnic minority that lives in the West, they're putting them in concentration camps. China their thinking is so far beyond what we're able to comprehend. As we sit here talking about genderless Mr. Potato Head, they're building the largest navy the world has ever seen. So while we sit here and we twiddle our thumbs and social issues, man, kicking our asses, guys. I mean, that's the real thing we need to wake up to. And we have a president in the White House who's going to let it happen. Look, we all kind of range spectrum of ages on this platform, but I will say one thing that's true for all of us. We have never lived in an America where America was not the global power. We're unfortunately on the cusp of seeing that not happen anymore and fall number 2 to China, and you don't want to be there.
Wow.
Not to mention, we're in debt to them beyond comprehension.
Oh yeah.
I mean,
And-
how do we
and-
get out of that? I mean, we just, I
Well, and the
had
whole-
this theory we should just default on anything we owe China and just bring them to their knees. I've
Right.
always said that you want to hurt somebody, go to their pocket. It's
Right.
so true, and we don't.
Right.
We don't. We never hit anybody where it hurts.
Right. Well, we're afraid. Well, I guess I must say we want to thank Eric for joining us tonight and departing us the knowledge that he has and some of the things that he's told us. I think was very informative. And as he said, please catch him on his show on, you said Saturdays, the Bob and Eric Save America.
Saturdays, 2:30 p.m. We're YouTube, Facebook, Periscope, all over the internet, and then catch us on podcast formats. We're on iTunes, Spotify, Google Podcast. Find the podcast uploaded usually Sunday or Monday. The show is every Saturday. Tune in Saturday, 2:30. We're going to, my great friend Matt Couch is going to come on. We all know and love Matt Couch. And Nicole No been on the show a couple times, singer, entertainer from Los Angeles. We got a great panel over there. But thank you guys for having me on. And really long overdue. And I'm to be here. Thank you.
And we'll have you back. God bless. Be safe, brother.
Thanks, Eric.
Thanks, Eric.
Say hello to Bob.
Well,
Wow.
folks, that was really good. Glad he was able to come on with us tonight. Now, before we go to our next topic, I just want to tee this up. I want to play this for everyone because I think that this is an eye opener and it deals with the whole deal. So let me just put this up here and get your comments. Here we go. This took place today.
You have that people that have had the vaccine or have had the infection are spreading the infection. If we're not spreading the infection, isn't it just theater? No, it's not a vaccine and you're wearing 2 masks. Isn't that theater? No, that's not. He would go again with the theater. Let's get down to the facts. You want to get rid of vaccine hesitancy? Tell them they quit wearing their mask after they get the vaccine. You want people to get the vaccine? Give them a reward instead of telling them that the nanny state's going to be there for 3 more years and you got to wear a mask forever. You don't want to hear it. There's no science behind it. Well, let me just state for the record that masks are not theater. Masks are protective. And we have immunity there, theater. If you already have immunity, you're wearing a mask to give comfort to others. You're not wearing a mask because of any science. I totally disagree with you. Do you have?
Okay, there you have it. Okay, it's theater. I don't care what he says, Dr. Fraud. It's theater. First it's 1 mask and now 2 masks. What the heck are 2 masks going to do?
I mean, think what it's going to do. Absolutely nothing. I'm like, and I see people walking around with 2 masks on, thinking that they're safe. One guy had 2 masks. He told me, "Oh, I got the virus." I'm like, "Yeah, but you wore 2 masks. What happened?" It's political theater, and I am glad that he was called out by another doctor, because for some reason, the media wants to put Dr. Fauci up on this pedestal. Now, don't get me wrong. Dr. Fauci has had a long and illustrious career. He's the highest paid government official, I think 400,000 K. Okay. And I'm sure that he loves his country. But somewhere along the lines, he became political. Maybe it happened when he was on InStyle magazine and they told him that Brad Pitt could play him in a movie or something. But, and mark my word, at some point, they'll probably do a movie about, the China virus, and they'll slam trunk and they'll have Brad Pitt playing Dr. Fauci. It's like, are you serious? Dr. Fauci is how tall? How tall?
They did on SNL already.
Oh, God. So, but now they'll probably do an extended version, a movie about it. I mean, when was the last time he saw patients? He's a bureaucrat. He's going to say what he thinks the highest paid political operative wants him to say. And it's really sad because there have been so many others like Dr. Scott Atlas saying that, hey, herd immunity, we'll get it by April. This whole thing is a bunch of hogwash. We got to get beyond it. But what did they do? They attacked him. There's another guy from Johns Hopkins University, Dr. Kayak, I think. He said the same thing, that, everything that Dr. Fauci is saying, all due respect, is a bit too much, only to find out now that he was telling the truth, that Dr. Fauci was going over and beyond. And because the media had fallen in love with him and they felt that, oh, well, Trump doesn't like him, so we're going to like him. Here we are. But it's really sad that he allowed himself to be a political pawn in all of this and pushing what he was pushing. What do you guys say?
Well, I think in a lot of ways throughout this crisis, there's been a lack of great communication and transparency. Granted, as we all know, it's an evolving situation. A lot wasn't known, blah, blah, blah. But I think that there's been a kind of reluctance to talk to the American people as adults to adults. There's been a kind of effort to manage the way things are perceived, and all this political stuff has gotten into it, whether it was initially telling people don't wear the masks, don't take them from the healthcare workers. They do absolutely nothing to protect you, and the healthcare workers need them, which is a contradiction. If they don't do anything, why do healthcare workers need them? Really, it was that they do mitigate somewhat in some situations, and hence that's why the healthcare workers use them in hospitals, but they're not a perfect protection from this, and you can't run around in a mask 24/7, and we don't want them taken away from that. But I mean, instead of explaining this to people, it was like, no, like as if you're a little kid, that's not for you because it does nothing. Oh, but we need them. The grown-ups need them for, I mean, a lot of this just wasn't really logically and respectfully communicated. And so I think in came all kinds of politics and people, ascribing their own meanings to things. And the truth, like with many things, is probably somewhere in between, I think. But it would be better if we got more straight talk from Fauci and from everybody. And I think our president, bless him, our former President Trump, I don't think he did a perfect job with the communication either, but I do think he spoke to us as adults more.
Right. Yeah.
Well, what I would say is, and I totally agree, Heather, with what you're saying. But the problem is that talking straight would have not fulfilled their narrative.
No.
Okay. Right. So their motive was different than transparent communication. It was to instill fear at the level. I mean, think about it. Every walking person in America is wearing a mask in public. Think of the power of that. Mm-hmm. And the fear of not wearing it, and also the shaming of not wearing it.
Right, the shaming, yeah.
Right? I mean, we're talking powerful messaging.
Do you believe, I believe that they do believe that there is some value in terms of mitigating with the obviously, no smart person believes that it's a permanent solution or that humanity can walk around forever in masks. But I don't know that I think it does absolutely nothing. Maybe on the margins it does help a little bit. And so, especially in some of these situations like where you're indoors, like there have been some studies that hairstylists who had the virus didn't pass it to their clients because they were masked the whole time, stuff like that. So I guess my question to you guys is, I don't see it as an intended kind of, I think that the way they've handled this emerges from their political philosophy, which is a nanny state kind of thinking. But I don't think that the only reason they're saying wear the mask is because they want to break our spirits or something. I think they believe that there's some value in terms of public health. Do you not think that? Or
that is a very good question. And this is what I would say. Going back to the very beginning, we didn't know much about it, and how they said that, we don't need it because we wanted healthcare providers to have it. So you're willing to put people's lives at risk by saying that we need this for public health care. So you're going to spin the narrative that we don't need to wear it. Then once you got enough PPE, you're going to come back and say, you got to wear it because if you don't, you can die. Well, if that is the case, think of the deaths that we had between the time you were saying not to wear it and people believed that. Dr. Fauci himself. And if he felt that, hey, this is a reason why we did it, he should have clearly articulated or came up with a better idea or said, okay, unfortunately, we need our healthcare providers, workers, or whatever they want to call
there
themselves.
Weren't enough.
Have it.
That's what it
right,
was.
Right.
Yeah,
So,
there weren't enough. And instead of trusting the goodness of the American people, I think instead of saying, look, this
lied.
could help a little, there aren't enough.
Mm-hmm.
This is a patriotic thing. Do not wear them. Leave them for the healthcare workers.
And they should have said that.
People would panic and
right.
grab up everything there was. And maybe they were right.
Well, just like with tissue, when people were going out buying up all the tissue. But I think that they did a poor job. And because he was at the forefront, he should have just said, okay, we're going to have to rely on our American citizens to say we need the healthcare providers to have it first, but they didn't do it. And then when they turn around and say, okay, you need to wear it, the way it was done, and as Ray said, to shaming of people and then attacking people, you have people right now attacking people if they don't have it on.
Well,
that is ridiculous.
But that's the leftists. I mean, that's not really coming from the top. That's just the way.
It's not coming from the top, but it's coming from people thinking that, hey, they said you need to have it. So if you don't have it, I am going to shame you. I am going to attack you. So I do believe.
What leftists do, Rob. They just do that. They love to shame.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Absolutely.
This is their thing. So I don't know that that's valid.
I don't know. I think just even regular people, just normal people would react. I've gotten on I had an instance. I got on my elevator at our condo and I forgot my mask. I had to hustle back, but I got, attacked, and I don't think they were leftists. I think they were just Mr. and Mrs. Neighbor that were, critical of me at that moment. And it's like, wow. So I don't know if it's just,
right, and then
panic goes across
exactly
all barriers. It's not one,
And I think also once they realized that people were so jaded and so confused and okay, we're going to put it on and then we're going to get other people to do it. And if they don't, we're going to attack them. I mean, you just think back over the summer at how people would be at the supermarket and then they would attack perfect strangers saying, you need to put your mask on. And this is a reason why. It's like, but I'm not near you. So why are you, I'm on the outside. Why are you freaking out? I think that once the politicians who are so good at getting money, making money and getting power out of these things, once they realized that they were able to convince people to wear the mask and then to act out, they decided, hey, let's push this. Why now are they saying, well, even with the vaccine, you probably still need to wear the mask when we were told if you do it for 6 months, we'll be okay. And they just kept moving the benchmark, just kept moving it. And now the vaccine, you get the vaccine. Oh, I don't know if you could be together. Oh, you still, because you might have it, but the other person doesn't. You still can't do this. People are getting tired. It is frustrating.
Yeah.
And then to say, like I heard some to say, oh, well, you don't want to wear the mask. That's racist. Like, how is not wearing a mask racist? Are you serious? And then everything else just started connecting with it. Okay, you can't wear the mask. You don't open up the schools because of this, because of that. It just got to the point that we were in crazy land and no one wanted to come out and say, hey, let's stop because this is not making any sense. And they kept saying, follow the science. And as Rand Paul said so eloquently, but poignantly today to Dr. Fauci, it does not, if you follow the science does not say that. But this is a man who practices still, he still has his practice. And he said that is not the science. And you've had so many others who practice, Scott Atlas, who has come out and said the same thing. But the media just poo-pooed on them and said, no, we can't listen to them. We have to listen to Dr. Fauci. But what about getting a second opinion? What about getting a third opinion? And Dr. Fauci reveled in all of this, knowing that the last time he probably looked at a client was probably 50 years ago. But he didn't care. He's a bureaucrat. And I was watching, what's his name tonight, Scott Fleischer, who said that he worked with Fauci during the Bush years when we had the SARS or the Ebola. He said, I worked with him then. He said, and then he said, I found him to be a very, reputable man. He said, but now he's out of his league because he's not a person to dictate public policy. And that he has now lost his way and thinking that he can weigh in because people are listening to him. And that is very dangerous. When people get power, and they know that others will listen to them. Look at Andrew Cuomo. I have the power. Look at what power will do to you. Look at Bill Clinton. When they get power, it's like, wow, I like it. And I can tell you what to do.
Good point, Rob. And their admirers and these leftists have enabled them. That is true. They're so uncritical of their own leaders. Everything they do, they just get their bums kissed for, and it does give one pause. Yes, you do wonder how much, where is the accountability from their side? And if there is, if they're just defended no matter what they do, you wonder, are they just a little, drunk with their power? I don't know. The science. I
like that, drunk with power. I like it because I think that's what happened. The guys, not to cut you, Heather, but we're coming up on the bottom of the hour, and I want to get two things in. Ray, as I'm talking, if you could just tee up another poem for us, because I would definitely want to hear another poem. But as he's teeing that up, Heather, you are now back in the city after being gone for quite some time.
Yes.
And we'll cover this on another show, because I know there's a lot that we want to talk about, the differences that you're seeing. And we'll probably bring on Joshua Spodek, because he too had left the city and he came back. And he and I, we've had conversations about, the differences in the city. But just briefly tell us first when you left, how long you were gone, and what is it like now being back? Some of the changes that you see.
Thanks, Rob. Yeah, I left in late October. I was here for the month of October, and I had also left. Basically, I left last April, spent spring and summer in Pittsburgh, PA, came back for the month of October, then left for the winter, which I spent in Pittsburgh. Now I'm back in New York, and I think city's somewhat emptied out. Just from my perspective, I don't know, it looks like somewhere between 2/3 to 1/2 full, I guess, like maybe anywhere from like 1/3 to half the people are gone. If you include tourists, Midtown's very quiet. I felt that there was even a little more action in October than there is now. To me, it just, granted, I've only been here like a couple days, but it just seems, and they've been very rainy, cold days here in New York. But I'll tell you what, it's a little like dystopian. There's hardly anyone out. Very few people out in Soho. It was like kind of a ghost town. I was there today. And you do see NYPD, you do see a police presence, but it definitely feels a little more there's a slight air of chaos in the air, I would say. Not like you're terrified to walk down the street, but I was speaking to a good friend of mine today who's a dentist and, works in town and needs to be here. And she's a very gutsy gal, but she said that she is not walking alone after 10 at night in New York. And she used to just go everywhere, at any hour. But she says she doesn't feel safe doing that. So in a nutshell, I haven't really been to, I've been to a couple office buildings. Typically, and I used to do a lot of work, and I still work some for the New York Post. I like to interview people on the streets. And I feel like there just aren't as many people out there to interview. And of course, everybody's masked and wary. So I think it's going to be tough to practice my journalism here, but I'm going to try.
Good
That's
luck.
good.
You'll do fine again.
Thanks, Bill.
It's just a matter of time.
We definitely want to have you back so that we can, elaborate on some of the changes, like you said, looking at, Midtown and how people are saying that they're not walking by themselves. I remember before the pandemic, and definitely before de Blasio, I would feel extremely comfortable as a male walking around the city at night. I mean, taking long walks from Midtown to downtown and had, nothing, no fear at all. But now there's definitely hesitancy. And I think a lot of people feel the same thing. So we definitely want to have you back on to elaborate on that and just to talk about those experiences so that people can see, get an understanding as to what it's like living in a big state, populous state. I think it's like the second largest, to go from, just being a carefree lifestyle to, being shuttered in and fearful because of the government. The way the local government, the mayor, and the people are running things. So it's really unfortunate. Ray, are you ready for us?
I am. I was hesitant to read this, but we're having so much anxiety about the southern border again, right? And this open border and immigration, and is it a crisis? And you remember all of that conversation like 2.5, 3 years ago. Is it really a crisis and this and that? And Trump, got money to build the wall. So I'm going to read a poem that I've never read aloud called The Wall.
Okay.
The wall is not a concept nor a symbol to insult. The wall is not a theory nor an algebraic note. The wall is not a statement nor an answer to defend. The wall is not a vision of what the right wing doth intend. The wall is not a figment of some imaginary brain. The wall is not to crucify, for legal immigration will remain. So let's say exactly what it is and make it very clear. A wall is but a barrier between countries that are near. The wall is there to demarcate the border loud and clear. It's to prevent those intent on illegally coming here. A wall is made of metal or a brick and mortar smear. The wall is built in such a way that sneakers won't adhere. The wall protects our sovereignty. Each nation has its right. We don't care if you're offended, nor if the height will cause you fright. It's time our nation took a stand and fund this needed wall, but different than the field of dreams, for they won't come at all.
Now, to go along with that, I would like to play this for our viewers, and we'll get ready to end on this because I think this is this sums it all up. Here we go. Finally admits the truth.
The vaccine was given with their expectations set with the Mexicans that they helped deal with the situation on the border.
There have been expectations set outside of unrelated to any vaccine doses or requests for them that they would be partners in dealing with the crisis on the border.
There you have it. She finally admitted it. Crisis on the border. After all this time, they were saying, oh no, it's a challenge. I beg to differ. It is a crisis of monumental proportions. It is a crisis at the border, and we have to do something about it. Okay? We are not without feelings. We aren't a country that don't care. But when you start bringing people at the border, innocent children, carted in, brought in without their parents, and then here, take care of them. Else we've got to let them in. We've got to, make them citizens. I don't think so. And I think I've said this once before. I don't care if a person is coming here and they're pregnant and they have a kid once they've reached the other side of the border. In my opinion, that kid is not an American. And if we had Republicans who were strong enough and not fearful, who would push back and say, no, that's not what the Constitution meant. You just can't come here and have, yes, an anchor baby and say, oh, it's now our citizens. I don't think so. Send them back across. What is Mexico calling President Trump? The immigration president? I mean, all these people are laughing at us. Why? The Democrats don't care anything about those people coming across. They keep saying, oh, we're fearful of a brown America. No, you don't care anything about their brown skin. The only thing you're concerned with is their vote. And that's it. You want them to vote. Because if they were coming here and if you found out that they were voting Republican, you would kick them out quicker, being quick. So the only thing you're looking at is the vote. We love all people, but you must come here legally. What about the people who are here now waiting to become citizens, who have hired attorneys, paid out money, waited, taken the test? So they're not going to get a chance to be citizens, but you're going to make these guys citizens? I don't think so, and it's not right. It is not right at all. You can't go to Mexico and do that. You can't go anywhere in the world for that to happen. As our guest Eric just mentioned when he was on, look at China. Homogeneous society. You go there, they're Chinese. They speak Chinese. They come here, they learn the language, and then they start trying to take over. This is unacceptable, but no one wants to talk about the human rights crises that are taking place in China. And just to sum everything up, yes, racism exists, prejudices exist, and there is an increase or somewhat violence on Asians, which is wrong. There should not be. There shouldn't be violence on anyone. There's an uptick in criminal activity all over the board. It shouldn't be. But everything isn't about race. Everything isn't about we want to pick these people up, we want to cause them harm. That's not it. People are saying it for political gain, and it has to stop. Andrew, what do you want to say to close this out?
Well said, Rob, and hope everyone joins us again Sunday night at 10 Eastern Time. We will be back for another show. And follow me on Gab and Parler at Small Town Andrew. You can follow Rob at the same spots. Follow Heather on Twitter, HE_Robinson. And Ray, what can people find you on these days?
I'm on Parler at Ray Poetry. I'm starting to put up some poems and trying to get some followers. I'm up to about 1,700. My book is available on Amazon. It's been real slow. You know, I was doing very well when I was on Twitter advertising the book. You can also go to Ray Poetry World, and I have books at a steep discount, my entire set. And I'm glad that you all have my new book, but I want to make sure I get all of you my first 3 books. So you may get a little something in the mail as a Passover gift.
And we have your link from
Easter.
Amazon that's up right now. So definitely,
yes, thank you.
Something that you definitely want to have in your library, Ray's book. And I think our guest on Sunday is Michael Johns, who's going to talk foreign policy. Is that right, Andrew?
Yes, he's not confirmed yet, but that's what we're hoping to have.
Okay, great. Hopefully he'll be on Sunday to talk foreign policy. So thank you all for joining us. As I said, you can catch the replay on YouTube, and on Facebook, and on Spotify. Be safe, be wise, be careful. GOP, think conservative. God bless. Have a good night.
Thanks.
Thanks, everyone.